My name is Teresa Johnson. I am a student at Anderson University. I'm currently taking English 218 under the direction of Dr. Betty Mealy. Tonight, I have with me Dwayne Cleavine, my neighbor, Roy Miller, whom I work with, as well as Kylie Miller, his wife. We're going to talk about Homer and the case involving the Odyssey and the Iliad, and if Homer truly existed, if Homer was a group of people, or if he was a single person. Did he even exist at all? Based on the lack of evidence regarding his birth, the details of his life, and the difference in the two epics, Homer did not exist. Homer is reported to have written the famous works, the Odyssey and the Iliad. The Iliad was set during the time, the last few weeks of the Trojan War. The Odyssey is thought to be the sequel and is based on Odysseus' final journey home after the fall of Troy. These two literary classics had a huge impact on Greece as well as the entire world and continue to be influential in our study of literature today. The evidence of Homer's birthplace and date of birth help prove that Homer is not just one person. Homer is said to be a Greek that was born, or supposedly born, in 8th century BCE. However, it's unknown when Homer was born because that was during the time period when there was no chronological recording of dates. Also, the location of his birth is highly debated. It is believed he was born in Asia Minor, but the exact location of his birth is unknown. The Odyssey and the Iliad portray conclusions that Homer is not the only author. By some scholars, Homer was thought to be blind. If that's the case, then how did Homer come up with such creative works that had such elaborate works? Also, because during that time, there were oral traditions and stories were passed from generation to generation by word of mouth. So these stories would have been embellished or fluffed up. Homer was thought to be more of a cultural manifestation than an actual person. The Odyssey and the Iliad are the main works for which Homer is known. If he was a real person and wrote such great literary works, why isn't he credited with more works? After all, we don't see Mark Twain being credited with only just a couple things. He's known for lots of things. There's not enough evidence to draw a clear conclusion about Homer. Did he exist? Was he just a manifestation? Was he a group of people? Or was he a single person? Based on the evidence, though, I think it's clear, or could actually be concluded, that Homer didn't exist. He wasn't just a single person. He lived before historical events were recorded. He was said to be blind. So it's really unlikely that he could create such stories. Also, he's supposed to have lived since he was before these historical events were recorded. The language and the dialect from that time represent the time and the region from which he was supposedly born. However, that's the sole indication since there's no recordings. So back to the original question, did Homer exist? Was he a single person? Was he a group of people? Or was it word of mouth that was just passed down from generation to generation through oral traditions? I think Homer was not a real person. Thank you, and good night.